All right, all right. I think I'm on. I think I'm on. There it is. There it is. Okay, I think we good, right? For people who follow me on Twitter, can you guys also check if Twitter is on? So we still have I think yeah, he's gonna come on in like 15 minutes or so. But I just wanted to come on, interact with y'all. Let me know if you guys have any like specific questions that you guys want me to ask him too. Um Yeah, but am I live on Twitter? Let me know if I'm live on Twitter too. This is like the first time I'm trying like multi-streaming. 15 minutes, damn. Yes, yes. I know you guys want to see Amir, all that. You guys like fucking Amir more than I do. You guys are tuning in more for Amir than me. No, no. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to him. I haven't talked to him in a while. He's a good friend of mine. And yeah, it's still gonna be like part of like this gender political gap thing that I'm making. I don't know if you got okay. Twitter's good to go. Dope. Is anyone actually tuning in from Twitter? Or are you guys all on YouTube? What's good? What's good? Where are you guys tuning in from? Um, go to Russia? I don't think right now, man. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so this is part of the video that I'm making. I don't know if any of you tuned in for that video that I did with Destiny, right? So this is for that same video. We were actually gonna do this with Brett Cooper, but she actually got way too busy. I wanted to get both a man and a woman, right? Destiny kind of representing the liberal male, for Brett kind of be like the conservative woman. But she's way too busy, so we couldn't make it happen. But maybe we'll be able to collab in the future. How about Tim Pool? Yeah, well, yeah, I think that could be a good one. But I think Amir is. I know Amir, and I know he's gonna do a great job too. But yeah, maybe in the future, who knows? I'm trying to do more of these collabs, live stream interviews. They're fun. They're fun. On people, thumbs up the live already. Yeah, exactly. Give it a thumbs up. So he'll be coming on live in like 13 minutes or so. Will be a record of the streams. Yes, of course, of course. Talk about the border with them and your experience. Yeah, actually, guys, I actually just went down to the border again. I was down in Eagle Pass, Texas. Did like a ride along with police. But what was the craziest thing you guys will see very, very soon, and I wish I kind of live streamed this. Uh, I did a live stream of migrants in Mexico. So I went to the Mexican side. So Eagle Pass is obviously Texas. On the other side of the border is Mexico's border town called Piedras Negras. So we went on the other side. We were driving around. I was with like this kind of like Mexican journalist who was serving as my guide. We found these migrants like starting to literally walk towards like the Rio Grande River, which is like the natural separation between US and Mexico. So like we got out of our car, started talking to them, started interviewing them. One thing that was extremely interesting is that right now a lot of the migrants are from Venezuela. So they're making their way over by foot, by train, with their families, sometimes just with couples, sometimes just by themselves. Uh, I also talked to people from Cuba, Ecuador, and yeah, I talked to them. So I literally walked with them from their journey, walking to the border, and covered the entire thing of them literally crossing across the border. It was absolutely surreal to see. They had like rope ready because the current of the river is extremely strong. Some people get swept away. A lot of people drown. A lot of people die. And these 100, I think it was like 120 or so of these migrants were trying to cross over like the border. It was pretty insane to see like firsthand. And yeah, that video should be coming out soon. But I don't know. I think the biggest thing that I want to say is that, we often hear about the border, we often hear about immigration, we hear about statistics and all that, but you really don't like understand until you're like face front with whatever is happening. So it's super crazy, man. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, so he should be coming on soon. How's my audio and all that? I think last time you guys said that it was quite quiet. Is it coming in all good? It's good. Perfect. Cool. It's all right. Solid this time. Who was also here for the Destiny one? How did you guys like that interview, by the way? I mean, I feel like a lot of you guys were a lot happier that I announced this like Amir Odom thing. But guys, like I said, this channel isn't it's not an echo chamber. I'm going to talk to people who you guys disagree with. Camera quality might be a problem. Maybe. Shit. That's actually a good point. Hold on. Destiny is cringe. I hate Destiny. Video's glitching a lot. All right, give me a sec. Give me a sec. Will this stream? Oh shit. That's not good. You guys said the stream. Oh my god, I need to fix that. Fuck. Oh, okay. Shit. So you okay, I need to fix that. I need to fix that ASAP. Hold on. Let me fix that ASAP. I just realized that the whole Destiny thing is the exact same thumbnail. That's probably what's fucked it up a little bit. Give me a shout out again. Pickle Sensei, appreciate that, man. Think YouTube bitrate is ruining the quality by a lot. Is this shitty quality right now? Don't worry, it'll be a lot better. I mean, guys, this is also more so like record it. It's I just wanted to live stream it so I can interact with y'all. And yeah, guys, what are some questions you guys want me to ask him? For those who know Amir, or if you guys want to look him up real quick, Amir, can you hear me?
Hello.
Okay, I can hear you, but you're coming in quiet, man. By the way, we're live in case you didn't know.
Okay, I was wondering. I was like, I'm just gonna join, get ready. But hello, everybody.
Can you maybe change your mic a little bit? It's coming in real quiet.
Yeah. Is that better?
A little bit. How's he sounding? I think for me, he's still sounding a little bit quiet.
How's that?
A little bit better.
How's this?
That's way better. But I think you could go even a little bit louder.
All right, how's that?
That's perfect. That's perfect. Cool.
That's so
They're saying
funny.
that I'm looking pixelated as hell. Is that true?
That is true.
Fuck. What is going on? Okay, whatever.
That's so funny. You're live. Hello, everybody.
Dude, I wanted to do a lot more of these kind of like live interviews. I mean, this is for a larger YouTube video, like I explained to you, but it's just like I might as well just put it live, right? Like interact with the community.
I think
so. It's fun. So, how you been, man?
I've been great, dude. I mean, we're almost at 500,000 subscribers.
Dude, I was gonna say your channel is crushing it, man.
It's insane. Very grateful for the support from everybody. Yeah, I've just been cranking it out. Honestly, just working on content, working out, and that's it. I can't complain. And planning a lot for 2025.
So, what's your big plans for 2025?
Can't say.
Can't say?
No, I can't say. It's not that dramatic. Just honestly more content.
Okay.
That's the basic I can put it. It's just pumping out way more content, hiring a team, and getting behind some really solid people that are going to help take this channel to the moon even further than it's going now.
Is your goal to like eventually create like a media company, or are you always looking to do it yourself?
Do it myself. I mean, I'm always going to have, at most, I'll have like 2 to 3 employees.
Yeah.
Both freelance, because at the end of the day, I want other people to be doing what they want to do too. I don't want anybody to just be just for me. So yeah, I mean, I'll always be just hosting a show or podcast, but nothing more than that. I mean, eventually down the line, go on tour, with the podcast, meet everybody, maybe work on some documentaries, like short docs with like Hulu or Netflix in the future. That'd be really fun, and focus more on like the take my deep dive videos, but like to a bigger format.
Mm,
But other than that, I don't want a whole network. I don't want a whole. I don't want any of that.
okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Well, before we get like officially started, I think there are probably some of you. There's a lot of my audience that loves you, by the way. I feel like they're
Yeah.
more excited to see you than me at this point.
Let's
Um,
go. Thank you guys.
can you give like a quick rundown of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Amir Odom, and I like to equip people with the tools to share their opinion on tough topics. So on my channel, we discuss a lot about Black issues because clearly I'm blacker than 11:59 p.m. We also talk about gay issues because I'm also limp-wristed. So that's me. You know, I mean, I've gone back in 2018. I went from marching with BLM to being invited to the White House and shaking hands with Trump. So I've been across all sides of the aisle. I would say I'm pretty center right, but more of like the community that where the left left the left because I don't know how right and conservative a gay guy who is married in like psychedelics is at this point. So I'm not some extreme right winger either. But yeah, that's what I do. So I just like to make a lot of content and dive into cultural issues, gay issues, black issues, political issues, and share everything from a rational perspective. I don't get angry much. I don't like to debate. I like to have conversations more than anything. I'm open to my mind being changed. I'm open to hearing new ideas and thoughts. And as long as it's always from a place of respect and love, then I'm cool with it.
So that's interesting. I think you said that, and I know you quite well. You used to tell me that you used to be a Democrat, but then shifted Republican,
Yeah,
which is quite kind of like a similar change that's happening not only in the U.S. but globally now, where a lot more young men are becoming more conservative. But personally, for you, what made you shift?
probably the fake news, like mainstream media. That really was the big shift. And there was like, if I had to think about critical moments, one was after I met Trump. I was met with so much backlash. I was being canceled online. I lost friends, family, and it's like I thought this was a party of love and inclusivity and diversity, but the second I do think for myself, you have a problem with it. So that was like strike one. And then throughout the years of like people lying on like the Jussie Smollett, that whole thing, Nick Sandman, that whole ordeal. There's a lot of mainstream lies that were just fed, and I was just like, why do they keep lying? Not to say that the right doesn't lie either, but the fact that it seemed like the left was just so blatant in just not making sense, and so that just progressed. And then in 2020, it all hit the my account blew up because I was actually terrified of COVID. Like I think no, it's in my bathroom. I bought a giant mask. Like I was terrified of COVID. Like I bought a
You're one of
giant
those.
like Bane mask with the oxygen tank thing. Like I went all in. And then Fauci's just like, "Oh, cut up an old T-shirt," and I'm like, "This is sus." Like a T-shirt that kind of threw me off the edge. And then the whole George Floyd thing, BLM, and all the lies there. Um, and of course, like the gay community, it's like, "Oh my gosh, they're banning books," and I'm looking at I bought the books. I'm looking at the stack of the banned LGBTQ books, and they're so profane. So just all the lies really is what really pushed me over.
So I'm actually curious because maybe a part of the reason why you may have also been sick about, I guess, leaving, becoming more conservative was maybe identity politics. But
For
do you feel
sure.
like sometimes like the conservatives also use you as like a gay black Republican man and kind
For
of play in
sure.
those like identity politics too?
Yeah, it totally does. But I think it's in the opposite sense in that the left is saying, oh, because here's how I look at it. The left is
Okay.
like, oh, you're black and you're gay, so you have to think like this. You have to subscribe to this, and you have to fall into this groupthink box ideology. And the right is saying, okay, we're going to use that same logic and show you that that doesn't line up. So here is a gay black man who you're saying is supposed to think like this, but they're not. And so I feel like a lot of the times when the right falls into the identity politics, or when people are reposting me and they're like, oh my gosh, he's black and he's gay, here's what he has to say, it's in rebuttal to how we're taught we're supposed to be. Like my entire life, I was raised that I was supposed to be a certain way because I was black. I had to be in the black community, have my black card. Because I'm gay, I have to like love RuPaul and drag queens. When in reality, that's not how it should be. So more often than not, I see on the right bring up these people to highlight like, hey, this breaks your logic down. If that makes sense.
That makes sense. Well, let's get into it then. Why do you think a lot of young men are becoming more conservative?
And because they're demonized by the left,
Hmm.
like they're literally demonized. Like besides Harry Sisson, or I think that's his name, like the white dudes for Harris,
The
all them,
Yeah, the paid creator for
yeah,
Kamala,
trying to
which is
like,
insane, by the way. I don't know how that's even like a meta these days. Honestly, for
I
both,
don't
I
know.
think that's so crazy. Like that needs to be like blatantly like stated, whether you're paid by the Republicans or Democrats, that you're like a paid shill to like make content for them.
Oh, for
Anyways,
sure, that needs to be
but anyways,
disclosed.
yeah.
But yeah, I think
Uh,
a lot of men are just demonized. I mean, I don't know what other way to put it. When we look around social media and we look at the landscape that we're in today, it's women this, women that, gay people this, gay people that, people of color this, people of color that. It's like you're pretty much demonized just for being a white straight dude. And then adding on to that, I know Hassan Piker was talking about this a little bit, and he had some good points in that any sphere that you're in is already right leaning for the most part. Like there was that article talking about, oh, if your son's going to the gym a lot, he may be a Republican. That was a stretch, but it also was some truth in that. In that when you are in these spaces, it's so weird that just taking care of yourself puts you more on the right side.
it's
I
weird. I don't know
don't
how that's even like politicized at this point.
exactly
Yeah,
when
but
you
it's
talk
true.
to these people, they were a lot of the RFK types who just like I just want to take care of my health. But all of a sudden you're just a right winger for that. So I don't know. That's why I feel like they just got like they got ostracized. They got pushed to the side,
Hmm.
and young men were just had no other place to go.
Hmm.
Because if you do talk about it, off the bat, if you do talk about anything that is in opposition to how they think, they kick you out anyways. I'm
Hmm.
black and I'm gay, and I'm getting kicked out of these circles because I don't think like them. So off the bat, as a straight white dude, or even as a straight man in general, with I hate to be like say this, but like common sense, to have common sense, you're automatically pushed away. So
Hmm.
I mean, at this rate, that's why I think Donald Trump won the election because more often than not, it was like common sense versus lunacy. Like, why is it that because I'm gay, but I don't think a kid should be mutilated, all of a sudden I'm a conservative, like crazy right winger who hates trans people?
One thing that was
It-
super interesting too was, and I don't think many people just became conservative by reading the Democrats like what is it, the Who We Serve, but I think
yeah,
men was only like mentioned like 4 or 5 times in
really.
like a big document regarding like the Democratic like party of who we serve. So I think, not many people are making their decisions based on that, right? But it does, I guess, kind of go along with what you are saying, is that maybe men have been pushed away to a certain degree.
No, for sure. They totally have. And it's like, I don't know. It was a clear sign of like, what do these people expect
Mm.
when you bend the knee to literally everybody and you try to be so inclusive, you start to exclude. Like there's not a
Mm.
world where we're inclusive of every single body. It's not gonna happen. And now
Right.
because of this reality, they're like pushing people away. Like, I mean, you have all this infighting even in the gay community where now gay people are being told they're transphobic because they don't want to date a trans man because trans men are men. Even as a
That's
gay man, I don't
insane.
want the kitty cat, but they try to make me want it. It doesn't make sense. And
Yeah.
so they're pushing everybody away, and you just end up more on the center of the right.
Interesting. And I think you're even seeing like this divide in like platforms. Like for example, I think X and YouTube are
Yeah.
definitely a lot more like male centric. And weirdly enough, to kind of like say this, I don't know if you noticed this, but
Hmm.
YouTube is actually, in a way, in terms of like its user base, is becoming a little bit more conservative too. I mean, I think I don't know if that's like completely true or not. It's like
Hmm.
not based on statistics, but more men do use YouTube than women too. And if
Hmm.
more young men are becoming more conservative, and especially with more like channels like we have, I
Yeah.
think you start seeing that a little bit more in the comments. But let
Yeah.
me ask you this: like, why do you think young women are becoming more liberal?
Um, trying to
Be
say this in
honest.
like, I think because of it sounds so crazy, like emotion, because of wanting to be a part of a group, because wanting to fit in the community, um, not wanting to ruffle
So
any
women are more
feathers.
emotional.
Yes, that's why I'm gay. It's like literally, I just don't.
Bro, I ain't gonna
I
lie. I have a girlfriend. I love her to death, but man, sometimes I'm no homo. But sometimes I'm like, man, it would probably be so much easier if
oh,
I was
I'm
gay, bro.
chilling. It's like I'm just living with my bro. I love him down. Um,
Anyways, what were you
I
saying?
feel like they're so just don't want to ruffle any feathers. It's why they're so. It's why they're erasing themselves. It's like why they're the ones. It's the straight women that are so inclusive. It's fine. Trans women are women. It's fine. Love and accepting. Yada yada yada. It's
Mhm.
whatever, and they're getting replaced by men. Like it's mainly them who are so and they don't even mean to be this way. It's coming from good intentions. They're just so accepting and so loving that they're blind to reality. That's just my opinion. Even when I went down to the Kamala Harris rally with Beyonce, I was standing next. There was like a black girl, a white girl, and me, and two black girls behind me. And the white girl and the black girl in front of me are catching up. They're like getting to know each other because we were waiting in line. And the black girl was like, "Oh, I'm from Alabama." And the white girl's like, "I'm so sorry that you're from Alabama, that you're black and you have to live in the deep South and like you're so marginalized down there. And I haven't lived there, but I just can totally imagine how it is for you." And I'm thinking like that is so racist.
Yeah, that
To
is
like
racist. Like to
look down
automatically
at this
assume your life is shit because
exactly.
you're black in another state.
But she was so sweet about it. Like it came from good intentions. And I think that's what it boils down to, that there's most women are just so wrapped up in not wanting to make someone angry or upset that they are so accepting and so loving and without thinking too critically about it because you know I feel like most men and conservative women are looking down the line and most liberal women are looking like right now. Like, what is the harm with allowing your trans friend in the bathroom? It's fine. It's whatever. It's right now. I'm with them. It's cool. Sure to you in that moment, but for me, I'm looking towards how are people taking advantage of that now, and how can they be taken advantage of in the future?
So
And
that you
so,
Oh, sorry, go on, go on.
no, go ahead. Yeah, yeah, go.
One thing that popped up is so were you at the Kamala Beyonce rally? I know you made a video that you said that you're going
Yeah,
to be voting for Trump. Did you only go for Beyonce?
we're not gonna talk about that.
Dude, she paid her like, I don't know if this is true, but
So
like she paid around like millions.
I
So
will say, I have not found a receipt that she was paid to be there. I saw Oprah's receipt. I didn't see Beyonce's receipt.
allegedly.
Um, Big Beyonce fan. I will be in Houston on Christmas Day. For that concert.
But
It'll be a good
Beyonce
time.
didn't change her vote.
No. Listen, I'm all for Beyonce throwing rallies for political candidates because every single rally or every time she endorses somebody, they lose. So like, I'm here for it. She did it for Hillary. She did it for Beto, and now Kamala. And
She's like Drake, but for Drake with when it comes to sports betting.
yeah, oh yeah. So
um,
I don't mind it at all.
So that's interesting. So you're essentially saying that since women are a little bit more emotional, more agreeable, that tends to kind of lend themselves to more like liberal causes. I think we also talked about like media influences, right? We talked
Yeah,
about how YouTube and X is like a lot more used by men. And I think in many ways that platform is leaning a little bit more right. But I
yeah.
think more short form content platforms like TikTok and Instagram is actually used more by women. Do you think this impacts political leanings?
I mean, it may. because I also see the opposite too, like in rare instances, but it is there. I just think when it comes to how men and women are taking in information, I see men being, I sound like a little mini Tate. I see men being more protective and thinking long term and thinking of like strategies and stepping up for their family and looking at the laws and looking at how the country's laid out. And I see women just thinking about how to keep everybody happy and how to be caring and how to be loving and how to be accepting and
Is that not a big generalization though? Like in many ways, women have to plan a little bit more long term, especially when it comes to like raising a family that I don't think like men consider. Do you think that's a fair generalization to make?
to a certain degree, yeah, but for most part, it's the woman that is thinking long term in the sense of taking care of the, I guess, nurturing the family. But typically, it's the man thinking long term. How am I have to go out here and work and really put food on the table and get supply the money and the funds and everything like that. There are some generalizations there, but I mean, when we're looking at the data, when we're looking at the voting habits of these liberal women and of most men, there is a split, and so there are some reasons as to why it's there.
So I think you mentioned this earlier, right? Where men have been pushed away, and that's also leading them to become more conservative, even though young people in general are a lot more liberal.
Yeah,
But I think maybe we're perhaps seeing this even in the women's side as well, right? Where I think feminism has divided even women itself, like you even mentioned of how you might be able to see similarities in the gay community, right?
yeah.
Do you think feminism today is empowering young women, or do you feel like it's alienating both men and women with more modern and conservative views?
I feel like I don't know because it's kind of taking a back seat, like BLM. Like it kind of hasn't been that prevalent how it used to be, like during the whole Me Too movement. Um, but I don't know. I do feel like they are alienating people
Mm.
because to a certain extent, when you're sitting here like they're alienating in two ways. It seems like in one, they don't realize it that they are again being so inclusive that you start to exclude. How feminism or new wave feminism, however you want to describe it, is saying yes, we're inclusive to everybody. Trans women are women. They need to be allowed in our sports, in our bathrooms, this and that. And then you have like the OG feminists that are like, no, we fought for women's rights for a reason. Biological women. That's creating fighting, but then also there's no, I don't know. I feel like all the infighting is just what's alienating people and bridging a divide because there's no foundation in what they're saying for the most part. Like when you don't have a foundation, you can't even make an argument. Like how are you going to sit here and tell me it's anecdotal? I get it. But every liberal college age woman that I've asked, I said, hey, would you be fine with the frat bro that you hate slapping on a wig and lipstick saying that they're a woman and being roomed with you next year? They all say no.
Mm.
But I'm like, okay, will you fight for gender identity inclusivity? That's that. You're telling me trans women are women, trans men are men, so you're actively like wanting to be inclusive, but then like when you get down to it, you low key aren't
I see.
because it doesn't line up. Again, anecdotal, but that's just what I go out and talk to people.
So I think you said there's like a lot of infighting, but one thing that's been interesting about, especially for more women, is that they've had actually a lot more like unifying movements compared to like men have. So for
Hmm.
example, like hashtag Me Too, like that did actually probably put a lot of unification amongst women, right? They were
Hmm.
sharing personal stories, and there was like a kind of like a big movement behind that. We could debate whether it was a good or bad movement, but
Right.
I think this pulled a lot of like young women left.
Yeah.
Do you think these sorts of movements have achieved progress, or do you think this has also further kind of divided the genders?
It made progress for the people that it actually mattered for.
Mm.
For the people that actually went through something. It made a lot of progress for them. But then there were these odd random cases where it kind of messed them up because then they start saying believe all women. And we know you can't do that. We know there's been fake cases out there. We know there's been people who have cried wolf. So it turned from, yeah, this is good. Let's highlight the injustices. Let's highlight the bad things that are happening. But then the fringe just tries to take it over, and they're saying, you know, you need to believe all women no matter what, or it goes into the whole like Kamala Harris, like, you know, we need to fight for the first female president. And it's like, but why? Like, what is a
Right.
female? Like, what is this? Isn't the opposite of what you're trying to do? Like, you don't want to be reduced to your genitalia, but yet that's what you're fighting for.
Mm.
I, it's confusing, bro. It really is. But I do feel like women have rallied together, or even the Women's March. Like the Women's March the day after Trump was elected. Oh my gosh, all those marches were insane. They really got together, but I don't know. I don't see how it did more good looking around in 2024.
So talking about like movements that have also been unified has been also a lot of like single issue voters, right? Especially
Hmm.
for women, obvious reasons being abortion. Um,
Yeah.
do you think abortion has also created more of a divide amongst men and women and like increased polarization, or do you feel
Yeah.
like what do you
Yeah,
think?
because that's the main reason why they're saying, "Oh, you're voting against my human rights." Like that's why a lot of people are cutting off their friends and family because
Mhm.
they feel like you're voting literally against my right as a woman when at the end of the day, that whole abortion argument, you can't even come to it with under I feel like most people can't come to it with understanding because you have the left coming at it from an angle of the women's body, and you have conservatives coming in at the baby's body. So off the bat, they're talking about two totally different things, and I feel like that's why there's so much infighting. But yeah, the whole abortion argument, there was a bunch of lesbians even arguing for this. Like, we need my right. I'm like, girl, you're not getting an abortion. What is happening? So,
Do you think it's
it,
because it's been framed as like a women's issue or taking away women's issue? Whereas, like, I think the interesting thing about abortion is that ultimately it does not affect most women. It definitely
right,
it can, right?
hmm,
But like for example, 2023, I think there was only like a million abortions. I mean, we're saying only,
right.
but and there's at least 150 million women in the U.S., right? And I don't think you can get multiple abortions in a year. I mean, if you do, then
They, yes,
amen.
yes,
But
they can.
yeah, do you think that's like the biggest thing is how it's been framed more of like a
For
women's
sure.
issue?
Yes, it's been like when I was at that Kamala rally, it was framed as like a women are dying because these abortion laws, and I'm like, this all sounds like like medical malpractice. None of this sounds like abortion issues. It sounds like bad doctors in reality, and I feel like the way they frame this as a whole life or death situation, even Oprah, this election gonna be the last election you ever vote in if Trump wins. It's literally how they were phrasing everything that really riled people up. And I talk about this in my last video talking about why people shouldn't be scared of a Trump presidency. But there's all this hippering and hollering about abortion. Okay, Obama didn't do nothing for 8 years.
Hmm.
Obama ran on protecting abortion. I think it was the Freedom of Choice Act. He ran on he's going to pass that. He gets into office, holds a press conference. He's like, yeah, this isn't a big deal to me. 8 years as president goes by, nothing. So it's like, do y'all really even care? Or are you just being fake? And not to say, I get it. There's a lot of things Trump promised to do and he's never done either. But if it's this big of an issue for women, why weren't y'all pushing it when y'all had all the power? Why are you being this led emotionally to feel a certain way? Why does Kamala Harris have I have to send you the pictures after this, but her like infographic that she was handing out at the DNC talking about how Harris Walls feels about LGBTQ rights issues. Under LGBTQ right issues was women's rights to get an abortion. And I'm sitting here like, what gay person is getting an abortion? I get it. There's still bad things that can happen to women, but you can still go take care of that if that situation happened. Um, but the fact that they mobilized lesbians to fight for the freedom to get an abortion. That's
Hmm.
I don't know where we're going with that.
Yeah, it was like really interesting to see like the abortion topic in here. And oh my God, we're two men talking about abortion. We better not like that's also the dumbest shit, by the way, because
I
like we
know.
all have opinions on issues that don't
Oh yeah.
directly impact us. So I don't know why we always just apply that for
I've gotten
abortion.
that one a lot. You're gay. You don't even have to worry about having a baby. And it's like, listen, I can still share my opinion.
But what I will say is that it was interesting for me because I'm actually pro-choice. I
Hmm.
think women should be able to get that. I mean, I don't
Same.
want the government telling me what to do with my body, so
Hmm.
why would I not apply that to anything
I
else?
have my views on it, but at the same time, it's like, listen, I feel like we're too far gone. It's like, you know
I
what? I
think
would
the
strive to
biggest
create
thing,
a culture that we don't
yeah,
desire to get them,
yes, I don't
but
think it should be encouraged. I don't think
right.
we should be making TikTok dances celebrating the 5 abortions that we got. And maybe there
That's
should
just
be a limit. Like after
raunchy.
like 3, 5, like what are you doing, right?
Lock the kitty
But
up.
anyways,
It needs
like
to be put in a
in
cage.
all seriousness, I don't think it should be encouraged, but I am absolutely pro-choice. But I think how I look at it, in my middle ground way of looking at it, is like the longer you wait, the more it becomes murder. I'd say, but you get to make that choice, and I think that's what I would believe a lot more in terms of principle. But I
Yeah.
think what makes it like difficult is like the religious debate behind it, right?
Yes, but also as someone who's like not religious, I still see the perspective of like I think Bill Burr said this, but it's like you got cake batter and you put it in the oven, you're getting a cake. Like it's making a cake. You got this. It's just a clump of cells. Okay, you leave that clump of cells alone. It's a whole human. So even from a non-religious standpoint, just looking at it objectively, it's something's there. And why is it that if I harm a pregnant lady, I'm getting double homicide? But if she just strolls down the corner and gets a procedure with knives and vacuums and whatnot, it's an abortion's fine.
That's actually interesting. I've never heard of that pro-homicide argument. Actually,
Like
that's the first time I've heard of that.
it
Yeah,
you literally get double homicide in certain states for killing a pregnant woman. But if she
but
walks down
is
the
that more
street,
conservative states though?
I'm not sure. I have to look and see which states exactly. But it's a thing, and it's like the that logic alone is what I feel like makes this argument so convoluted and so just drawn out because no one can really, I guess, pinpoint what makes a life, and that's when
Yeah.
religion comes into it. Because they're all about, well, life begins at conception, because of God, this, that, and the other. But like, you remove religion out of it's still biology. Like, it still happens. So
Someone in
it's
the chat was saying that apparently California has that law, which is interesting because they're, clearly pro-choice.
yeah. So
So
it's things like that. That's the one that really like made me look at the argument a little bit different. Because I'm like, wait a minute. I how now it's a baby all of a sudden. Now I'm getting charged for killing two people, but that woman can go and get rid of it. It's so I don't know. I mean, I don't have to deal with that like they said. I don't have to deal with it, but it is
yeah.
very concerning and interesting.
For example, I told this like many times on chat, but I made a video where I asked like both pro-life and pro-choice like what they believe like right after Roe versus Wade got overturned.
Hmm.
And I will say like going into it, I think I was even more pro-choice, but talking to pro-life people, it did kind of change that perspective to
Yeah,
be like the longer you wait, the more it becomes murder. Like that's how I like view it. And like I said, I think talking about how I value more so like bodily autonomy is like how we can apply it with COVID, right? With like I don't think that should have been mandated. I think if you wanted to get it, you should. But if you're young, healthy, and able-bodied, if you didn't want it, I don't think you should have been forced to quit your job or not be able to go to movies
hmm
or restaurants. So I think if I'm going to apply that, why would I not apply it to the same kind of principles for abortion? I know people are going to make
exactly,
the argument that it's like not your body alone, but yeah, the same way you can make the argument that, if you don't have like the mom carrying it, then that thing isn't also going to become cake,
exactly.
as you put it, right?
It's the same group of people that were saying that my body, my choice. Okay, well, where was that in 2020?
Hmm.
Because I'm over here having a lot to go eat at a restaurant and get some gnocchi and meatballs. Are you vaccinated? Yes, yes, I am. Sure am.
So back on the topic, I'm curious. I think this happened like especially right after Trump won. What do you think about the 4B movement and how it's spread to the U.S.?
Keep it going. Just y'all keep shaving your heads. Just keep shaving your heads. Identify yourself. Keep acting delusional.
You can share
The
barbers that you go to.
I can't. I need to get my hair cut. I'm looking like my ancestors. I need to go get a cut soon. It's starting to peek through. I really do. I just feel like it's sad though because I do believe that their trauma, that their frustrations, that the pain that they feel to go shave their head is real. Like they've been that misled by mainstream media where they're this emotional, this irrational, where they're shaving their heads and making pacts to not increase their body count when that should be the default anyways. I don't, that movement is crazy to me, but I understand it because I mean, I was once there, not shaving my head, but believing in BLM so much where I had crippling anxiety just for being black. Like I generally thought if I would have ran into you in 2015, 2014 on the street and you asked me how many black people are killed unarmed by the police, I would have said like 10,000. Easy. I'd have said, oh, like 10,000, 15,000. It's like 10 to 15. It's still bad. But the fact that the rate of black unarmed men are getting shot by the police and people getting struck by lightning are pretty much the same, that's a problem. Because you have all these black people thinking that it's thousands of them getting shot and killed. And that creates real fear. That creates real paranoia. And so that same thing happened now with Trump. There's gay people who think you're not going to be allowed to get married when Trump had just had a gay wedding at his house 8 months ago. You got photographers and we'll go, well, hurry up and do your gay photo shoot before it's illegal to be gay. I'm like, where y'all getting this from? I get it. It may be in Project 2025, but he said he's not going to do that. And if he does, we're going to ride up. I'm going to run up. Like, that's not going to happen. But to sit here and have this much fear, it's because of the media.
Interesting. So you're saying that women are kind of like what you were saying earlier, since your belief that women are more emotional and kind of just more agreeable, they're just a lot more susceptible to media brainwashing.
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that I feel like at least at schools, high school, college, they're not going to be that apt to push back and ruffle feathers. I just don't see a lot of women doing that. I see men doing that because they just don't care. But I see women not really. Say, for example, there's a group of 10 liberal women, and one of them are like, yeah, actually, I don't want men in the locker room. They're not going to speak up and say that because they see what's going to happen. It's just not worth to them. It's just not worth it. Like caught stirring up the pot. So to a sense, yeah. But I feel like we all are able to be brainwashed by the media, by who we watch. 'Cause I mean, I stay off Facebook for that reason. There is the Facebook crazy MAGA people out there. They exist out in the boonies. So I'm not gonna say that they don't, but it does seem like a lot of women just take everything and everything for face value. If Taylor Swift says this, if Kamala's saying this, if I mean, yeah, just like the sheer amount of women that were for Kamala just because of abortion rights. When you look at all the things that Trump is for regarding abortion, it's like, oh, that's it. So I don't know. I just feel like there is a good chunk of women out there that are easy susceptible to be indoctrinated.
Let's go into like the elections. Why do you think Kamala lost?
No one. Well, I would have loved to see how this election would have gone if it was someone different. But there's so many things into why she lost. First off, she literally was in office. And I get people like, well, she was the VP. She wasn't making that many choices. She said she was multiple times. She said she was a part of every major decision that Biden did while she was in office. So it's like, she's saying it. So I think a lot of people, one, doesn't like how things have been since 2021. That's a big one. But then two, There was no substance in Kamala. You listen to any podcast that she does, it's just a word sandwich. And yeah, I mean, it just, I don't know. I'm trying, with this question, I do have a bias and I tend to get wrapped up in my little echo chamber because I genuinely, besides the media manipulation, I don't see how people were wanting to vote for her.
Yeah. And I guess like, that brings up a good point. I guess she wasn't really like nominated by like the public, right?
Right. She wasn't even
During the voter
nominated.
primaries. Do you think it would have been a lot different than if it was like, let's say, a stronger candidate?
Yes. Totally. I think there were a lot of people that genuinely just voted for Trump because they were looking at, you know what? Forget everything that I'm looking at on my phone, on my TV. How was the world? How was my life in 2018, the prime of Trump? Like right in the middle of the presidency, how was I? And how am I now? I think that's how a lot of people voted. They're just like, you know what? I don't even care at this rate. I don't like how things are going. Why would I vote to keep the same person in charge?
So I interviewed Destiny for this, and one thing he said
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of like the kind of success that people saw under Trump was
Mm-hmm.
because of Obama the previous years. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think about that, and
I
how
think
would you
I think there could be some
judge
truth
that?
to that. I think there can be some truth to the economy getting better and then Trump getting in office and keeping it getting better. I think that's fine, but we have seen that a president does have the capability to just F it all up. So is Trump in, let's say, 2017, 2018, is he the sole reason why everything was so great? Of course not. There were some things that bled in from the other administration that made it so great, but he also didn't ruin it either. So that's where I would just default to. It's just like, well, it didn't get screwed up. He just kept it going. Whereas now it got screwed up and you can default it to COVID all you want. That was years ago. And it's just crazy to me that even outside of COVID, the border, all these wars, everything that they said would happen under Trump in 2016 happened under Biden. Everything. And that's what blows my mind the most. It's like he's gonna start wars and we're gonna have so much crime and this and that. And it's like that all happened under Biden.
Do you think then, like, just how Obama's, I guess, policies may have positively impacted Trump? Do you think
Hmm.
certain things from both the good and the bad from Trump has negatively impacted Biden, for example?
It's hard to say because they undid so much on day one, especially with the border. So it's hard to really point to and say the bad that Trump did. But I will say the bad that Trump did was really pushed. I don't know how much I can say about this on YouTube, but like the jab, I guess. I don't know. The whole stuff in 2020. Um, People talk about, oh, in 2020, like the, inflation, a lot of inflation, I do feel like was due because we were just handing out money left and right.
Mm.
And that bled into Biden's administration. But then also you add in this war that we've been dealing with since 22, just throwing out money nonstop. That definitely didn't help inflation as well. So like I feel like there was maybe a chance to where there was some bad that Trump did that bled into Biden's administration, but I don't see anything that they did to fix anything.
Mm. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Why do you think people call Trump a fascist? Do you think that's true?
No, I don't think it's true. I don't think it's true just because of how life is under him. And when I look at the party that wants all the control, when I look at the party that wants to, I mean, Tim Waltz, like, misinformation and free speech isn't free speech and, hate speech shouldn't be allowed. That's fascism. Like, that's worse to me. So, no, I don't think it holds up. I think it's just another ploy to really put a bad thing on Trump and anybody that supports Trump and say they're all fascists, they're all bad, they're all racist, they're all homophobic, instead of looking at things for just how they are.
Mm.
Are there some qualities that Trump does not do well? Of course. Like I've always said, if Trump just spoke like Obama, oh, it'd be amazing. It would be amazing. If he had Trump's actions, but like how Obama spoke, it'd be great. But that's not the world we live in right now. So
So one thing I also asked Destiny is whether he stands by his statement that he was, I guess, happy that the bystander during the Trump's assassination was killed. What do you think this reveals about modern politics today?
nothing. I think that reveals more about Destiny than modern politics.
Mm.
Because all I see about Destiny is just I don't see a lot of support for the things that he says either on the left or the right. I just don't. I guess through his supporters or his people that like the rage baiting. I don't know. But when I see those statements, I will never. It's a sign to how certain people feel for sure. But I think that's more of a sign how the fringe feels. Because yes, after that thing happened to Trump, where there are a lot of people like, damn, he missed, and oh, I wish this would have happened. Of course, there are a lot of people like that, including Destiny, who wished harm on Trump and others after that attempt. But I'll refuse to think that that is a representation for how a lot of the left feels. It's a good chunk of the far left. It's a good chunk of the fringe people. But for the most part, I think a lot of people are just silent about it. But I don't think. Yeah, no. There's a lot of people like to wish harm on someone is crazy. But then I could be wrong because those same people shot back and were like, "Well, he's wishing harm on my body by not letting me do my body, my choice." So on one end, I want to say that's not how people feel, but on the other end, that did trend. I can't ignore that. The whole they missed that did trend. So it does say something in that we're so politicized and brainwashed that we're wishing death on other people because of the basis of for years when you're slapping on that label of racism, homophobic, misogynistic, transphobic, that does something to the psyche. Where you have
Yeah.
that much bad PR, or someone's like, I just hate Trump, he's just so racist. And it's like, why? How is he racist? What has he done? And then they list off the most common things that have always been debunked. Like the amount of times I was gonna throw these books away, but the amount of times I've had to bust these books back out because everyone's like, Trump wants to ban books. I'm like, girl, open the book and read it for yourself. It's crazy. So it's just these lies that are constantly being put out and people are just being brainwashed.
Yeah, I guess like then in your eyes it becomes like a good thing, right? If you're on the other side, that someone who is a Nazi, someone who is a fascist, someone who is a racist, sexist, transphobic, whatever isms, if that person is killed or was attempted to be killed, then that's a W in your eyes, right? Well, let me ask you this: what do you think are the long term societal effects if young men and women continue to drift apart politically?
Um, well, one, there's not gonna be that many babies being made. Well, I don't know about that. Conservatives be getting busy. The right, they be having big families, so I don't know.
Yeah, have you seen
I,
Mormons?
yeah, whew. I don't see this lasting. I don't. I genuinely don't. I don't see this lasting that long because they keep kicking people out, and they're just again being so inclusive that they're starting to exclude. Think about this. Back in 2016, if you ever wore a Trump hat, ever, that's a sign to get jumped. Like that was just not something you do. You have people walking down the streets of LA with a Trump hat on right now.
That's
And
true. That is true.
things are
I see it in
literally
Austin too.
changing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's changing. And it was really, I mean, even the crap that I went through in 2018, 2019 for supporting Trump versus now, and it's like everyone's like hopping on board. It's like, I don't see it lasting. I don't see this divide happening, lasting that long. Mainly because the right is being, not all the right, but a good chunk of them are being more accepting to the new people, new ideas. They are becoming a little bigger tent. And the left is literally, you had a gay event in the UK be shut down and dumped roaches everywhere by trans activists. Because again, the gay people weren't accepting to the trans people identifying as gay and men. So it's literally, it's getting to crazy hours. I don't see it lasting at all.
Mhm. So you think it's gonna come like full circle where it's gonna become a lot more unified eventually?
Yeah, totally.
Hmm.
I'm hopeful in that.
So
Even just look at our content. We're growing nonstop because people are craving this and they can't have these conversations with some of their friends.
I think you're 100% right. And I think that's why, for example, Joe Rogan is like the biggest media figure today. I mean, he used to be a
You
Democrat that just voted for Trump. I don't think he would still even identify as like a Republican because I think a lot more
exactly.
people are a lot more nuanced when it comes to beliefs, but we've just been brainwashed to think that if I voted this a certain way, then I'm a part of this team now. And he just get ingratiated.
Right.
Um,
I mean,
and one
even
thing that was, well, let me say one
even
thing.
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, no, no, go ahead, actually. Go
Let's
ahead.
see
What were
on
you saying?
Spotify, the top podcast: Joe Rogan, Lane's right; Sean Ryan Show, Lane's right; Tucker
Mm.
Carlson, Lane's right; Mystery Show, Theo Vaughn, Lane's right; Candace Owens, Lane's right; uh, another mystery show, whatever; Charlie
Alcala?
Kirk, Lane's right; like all these Megan Kelly, Modern Wisdom, Huber and Lab, like it's it's just common sense at this point. I don't know. It's not even like a left versus right thing.
Mm. So one thing that Destiny said, and it made me think. I This is why I think it's super important to talk to people. He says that people like me are part of the issue, where I both sides everything and like to flip flop. The analogy that he liked to give me is that look at it this way: if you have someone that's a flat earther, someone who's a round earther, would you even give any credibility to the flat earther? I don't think that's a fair analogy, but I'm
Right.
curious. Why do you think people hate centrists or independents or whatever you want to call it?
Because it can seem as though when you have no grounding, like what are you really standing on?
Mm,
But for a lot of people, you can have grounding with being open to walk a certain way. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a difference between being a fence sitter and either gonna fall off on one side versus like walking down the road and on sometimes I'm taking a left turn and on sometimes I'm taking a right turn. I think there is like the world isn't sports team politics. It isn't left versus right. There's a lot of people. There's more people. We're seeing this happen with all our media. There are more people who identify as left wing on certain issues and right wing on certain issues. There's more people. That doesn't make you to not stand on business or like to be some fence sitter. It's just being realistic and that not everything's black and white, and that
yeah.
there are times where things require more conversation. There are things that matter where I don't know. There's only a very limited few topics that I feel like people should really stand on business with, and that's crimes.
Yeah.
And other than that, I think it's fine to like explore different ideas. It's not a crime to think the Earth is flat. Do I like are those people kind of cuckoo to me? For sure. But I'm really curious on why they think that way. Let's talk about it. Dive into it. Why do you think the Earth is flat? What sources do you have? What history like that? It's doesn't make you a bad person for wanting to explore that. It makes you a bad person to want to me to want to explore, mutilating children in the name of trans rights. That's legit bad and crime. That's legit something I'm not budging on. But to say that, more independent people to have a grounding or like we're the problem, you can say that all you want, but I don't see the data to back that up. I genuinely don't.
I think ultimately things that the both right and the left can agree on is that we want democracy, and a part of a democracy is talking to people that you disagree with, and
Yes.
that sometimes you should admit if you change your mind. And I think that's what a lot of people get wrong about like centrists. Like, dude, I clearly have my opinions, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop that from ever changing my mind if I talk to someone who brings up good points. But
Exactly.
I have my own values that I'm always gonna apply, and there are things that I can't ever bend on. It's just common sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did make me think, and it was definitely interesting to hear that perspective on his side too. And I'm not
Hmm.
just saying that too. Um, Well, dude, this was very, very interesting. I'm going to pause the side camera, but I wanted to also open it up to questions for Amir for the chat. Dude, always great talking with you, man. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. It's been since I was in Phoenix.
Oh, where do you live now? Oh wait, you're still in Nashville, right?
I'm still in Nashville, but the last time we were on FaceTime, like we were catching up,
Oh, right.
was when I was gone. But yeah, no, I love it. Like I will be definitely be having it on my channel here soon. Lots of things I'm finalizing, but yeah.
Good stuff. I think someone wanted to ask, please ask Amir what he thinks about proportional multi-party system and the war on drugs. So maybe we can start with a
Ooh,
multi-party
Jesus.
system.
A
You got a smart
multi-party
chat, man.
system. I know it's deep questions. I think off the bat, I mean, I would much rather. I want them to elaborate. Like, I
I guess
guess.
like yeah, it's kind of seems like very general, but maybe we can start with like war on drugs. Like, do you think more? I guess yeah. Actually, whoever asked that, like, be a little bit more prescriptive on like what exactly you want. One. Okay,
Yeah.
someone asked, what policies or bills do you think Biden did bad on?
I think Biden did bad on giving all this money, all the foreign aid. I think Biden did bad on reversing some of the border stuff with Trump regarding the southern border. I think Biden did bad on. I don't. I think things got proposed. I don't know if it ever went through. And I'm not even necessarily going to pin this on Biden, but Democrats really pushing for. Uh, it's all so confusing, and this is my community, but like pushing the gender identity stuff, and gender identity equality, and like having Dylan Mulvaney in the White House, and Biden talking about how he's going to stand up and fight for trans kids' rights. Big no for me. But those are just some of the things that I just did not like.
So it's like a combination of policies and then also just typical political shit, like the optics.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, I think you brought up kind of like the deportation stuff. What do you think
Yeah.
about Trump's upcoming mass deportation
I,
thing that he launched?
I think very curious how it's going to go down. One, very curious how to decide like who to go after and what that looks like. But two, it is interesting how this is going down, but this goes down every day in every other country. I think America is the only country where you can really just bust up in here, be booked a flight, and given a debit card. Like, I can't just fly. You can't go to Brazil and just stay. Like, you can't do that. I can't just go to London and just stay. They're gonna, I'm gonna be getting rid of, somehow, some way, I'm gonna be kicked out. So, I think something does need to happen. Now, how that's gonna go down, I'm very curious. But I think if he's working on, yes, we're gonna just deport all the illegal people, you gotta go. I mean, they broke a law.
What happens if like they've been in the country already for like 7, 10 plus years? They're active in the economy, they're active in the community.
Hmm.
They might
I
even
think
have
there's some
kids.
nuance for that. I would fight for some nuance in that. And like the damage is already done, so you got to bite the bullet there. But then like going forward, it just can't happen. For example, like all the DACA recipients. Like I don't know how. I mean, I was a kid when all that stuff went down. This is crazy to me. But to kick out like DACA recipients, like the kids that's been here like for 18 plus years, and they've been in school and the local community and jobs, like I don't think they need to be gone.
Mm.
I don't. Um, yeah. But the random illegals, especially happening now, nip it in the bud. Shut down the border at that. Just for a little bit. While we just fix things up.
I think one thing, so I recently did a series on the border. I did like a ride along in Laredo, Texas with like police. And one
Hmm.
thing they kind of told me, and also I came to my conclusion off record, is I don't think the government really wants to stop illegal immigration. I mean, the thing is, it's been a problem since the 90s, and
Yeah.
actually even way before that too, right? I mean, the country is a country of immigrants. Because I think ultimately the United States relies on cheap labor. They rely
Yeah.
on keeping wages down. They rely on people to work jobs that, yeah, like frankly, people Americans won't do for that low of pay, right?
Right.
So I think it is interesting to see what is going to happen, like you've said.
Mm-hmm.
But I think ultimately, Republican or Democrat, the problem is always going to persist. And
Yeah.
also, cartel networks are extremely
Mm-hmm.
organized. I wouldn't call it sophisticated. They're extremely organized. They're always one step ahead of like law enforcement because they don't have to follow any rules. So it's interesting, like people are always going to find a way to get in for such a
Yeah.
big country.
And I think there's room for revisiting our legal process as well, or
Mm.
saying like, hey, I don't know. I feel like if you're an illegal, and you're generalizations, bear with me. If you're an illegal and you are working on the farm, or like you are working as a maid or whatever, like
Damn,
there needs
bro,
to be.
you're saying all Latinos just work in the farms and
I
the
mean, they put in that work.
why couldn't you
Shit,
say like doctors or like engineers? Like
they put in that work. Here's the deal: if you are illegal and you're working, I don't think nothing should happen to you. I think there needs to be a legal process for that. If you're just illegal and you causing ruckus, like all right. But if you broke a crime, already broke a crime by coming in here illegally. But if granted, it's a non-violent crime, so non-violent crime, you broke in here, but then you immediately get to work. I mean, come on. There's some nuance for that. Like, there is something to be said for the hardworking people that are literally just coming here to get a check and work hard. It's like reward that. Yes,
yeah.
I get it. We should be rewarding the doctors and the scientists that want to come through legally and yeah, for sure. But you got somebody busting in this country to work. I mean, you can't knock it.
Yeah, and I even just shared that recently at like a community post talking about that is like, guys, I think we get like very lost in like narratives and statistics on how many people entered. And again, it doesn't make illegal immigration okay. It is a fucking
Hmm.
crime, right? But I think a lot of people forget that most of the people that are crossing are trying to make like a better life. I mean, I
Right.
just saw it. I literally just saw with my own two eyes. There's
Hmm.
kids. There's people crossing the river from the Mexican side to the U.S. side. I went to Eagle Pass like literally this
Hmm.
weekend and I saw it. People from Venezuela, Cuba, Ecuador, like desperate kids on their fucking like neck walking across the Rio Grande where thousands have
Crazy.
already like drowned. Like
See, that's
when
the
you see
hard thing
that
about it.
firsthand, like there's desperation that you can't ever like just see like in a statistic. And again, let me make it clear, this doesn't make it okay, but I think a lot of
Hmm.
people also get wrapped up in thinking that like all these illegal immigrants are that guy
Just
that
bad.
killed Lincoln Riley or
Right.
they're all gang members, but that's just frankly not true.
There's a lot of good ones. And
Yeah.
like you said, not to say that there should be a free pass, come on in here, but I
No.
do think that America can't be Captain Save a Ho for the world. We can't be out here trying to save every single body because we are better than the rest of the world. That's why they all want to come here. So it's like if we're looking at average income across the world and this and that, it's like what are we gonna do? Take in everybody? Like the reason we are good is because a majority of our well, it's a little declining, but like our culture and how we treat each other and everything around that. So it's like on one end I get it. You want to come up in here, you love America, you want to work, you want a better opportunity because your country sucks. I get it. But we need there's a this is past our pay grade. There's so much that goes into like even saying that. Like, I get it. Like you're having issues in your country, you want to come here, and it's easy for conservatives to be like, well, fix up your own country. Well, if we look into America's history, a lot of the time we have to deal with why they're bad in the first place.
Mm.
So there's some conversation to be had with America's meddling in other countries as well.
Yeah, that is true. There's been a lot of intervention, especially in Central and South American countries.
Yeah.
Couple more questions. I know you got to get going soon. Let's see here. What are some? Give me some good questions. Let's see. Oh, what do you think about Trump kind of like running on draining the swamp, considering his current cabinet picks? Is what someone asked.
I'm interested to see how much they get done. That's what I'm interested in. Apparently, everyone's saying it's gonna be a different Trump administration, and like some of his cabinet picks are really good, but I'm very curious on again the action because he was talking about draining the swamp last time. I don't know how much got drained. Like obviously there were some better aspects of our life, but I don't know how much of it got drained. At that, I did not like Operation Warp Speed and pushing all that in 2020.
What is that?
That was pushing the jab, the vaccine.
Oh,
Yeah. So I don't know. I like a lot of people in his new administration, this new cabinet that he's picking. So we'll see. It's really this is gonna be make or break the Republican Party. Like you got this whole dream team of what everybody's wanting: Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon, all these different people. If they don't do all the things they wanted to do, this will ruin Tulsi's career. This will ruin Vivek's career. This will ruin all these people's career. They've been so vocal about. So we'll see. I hope it turns out well. I hope some things actually get done.
one thing I think I'm most excited for isn't necessarily even Trump, but it's like the what you just said, like the government efficiency stuff. How they're
Yeah.
looking to like drastically reduce like the size of the government. Like
Hmm.
I think a lot of people, even on the left, has to see how ineffective a lot of things in the government are. Like, has anybody here in chat been to a DMV? Like, there is a lot of
The post
inefficiencies that you
office.
see. The post office, there's so many inefficiencies,
Or
and
even
it's
just
like if you view the U.S. as like a business, like there's no way you would lend that money. We're $36 trillion in debt. We have like I think the last 5 out of 7 years, I think we've failed the audit where there's just literally we have no idea like how trillions are missing, which is
but I gotta pay my
insane.
taxes.
Think
The
about that.
taxes we
Yeah,
pay.
exactly. So I think like it's not really like a funding problem. It is like more of a spending problem, clearly, right?
Yeah.
I am most excited for that because I was in DC like a couple months ago and I went in like the Congress or Senate building. I forgot what it was, but like walking down the halls, I saw like committee of like there were so many goddamn committees, and I was like, I've never even heard of some of these things.
Hmm.
Like that just shows you how many goddamn
And
committees have been created and just
all these committees are so. This sounds so redundant to say. All these committees are so like politically motivated. Again, a little redundant to say that, but like even how let's say like the committee for EVs and like all of Biden's presidency, he little barely acknowledged Elon and Tesla. Go GM and Ford for pushing forward EVs. Who? What? The only reason all these EVs are popping up is because of Tesla. And all these people on the left that hate Elon, I get it. He could be a little cringe, he could be a little extra. But the fact that all these hurricanes happen, who gave them internet? Not our government.
yeah, I think
What astronauts are stuck in space? Who's getting them? Not NASA. So it's like, to a certain extent, that the Department of Government Efficiency is going to do some work. Now,
yeah.
I've had a Tesla for 5 years. That build quality is trash. So I'm curious about some. There are some things. I'm like, Elon, you better step it up in this government. But he is efficient.
I think that's the thing. That's we're so lost in the sauce that like if someone does something great, like you can't even give him credit. Oh, what's up, Paula? Sorry, I think you joined a little
Icon.
early. You guys
Sorry,
know
I
each
literally.
other?
I do.
Oh,
I
oh
love.
yeah, oh yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Icon.
I was like, I feel like I should try to be a minute early, and
No,
I
that
didn't.
was me. I did it too. I hopped in here early. I was like, okay, well,
Okay,
hey,
I'm glad you did it too.
it's a party.
um,
All right, well, I'm gonna
Well,
get.
you
I'm
were,
gonna be like Rosa
yeah,
Parks,
guys.
and I'm gonna get to the back of the bus.
no.
Love
I
y'all.
literally will go off camera and let y'all finish.
Rosa Parks reference is crazy. But
That's me.
well, Amir, thanks for joining, brother.
Of course.
I'll keep you updated. It's always great talking with you.
Always,
And
dude.
yeah, we're just gonna do a little switcheroo here. We're gonna get Paula in here. we'll ask like similar questions, and then we can go from there. But
All right.
thanks
Bye
for joining,
again.
Amir.
Love y'all a bunch. Paula, good seeing you. We'll chat soon,
Peace.
guys.
Good to see you.
See
Deuces.
ya.
I'm
What's up,
so
Paula?
sorry. I hope I didn't
No, you're
ruin your.
good.
I
You're
don't know
good.
what you guys were saying before I hopped in here, so I hope
Oh
I
no,
didn't.
we so I was interviewing him too for like this video. Just because yeah, I haven't gone the yeah, I wanted to get so I interviewed Destiny early last week about this too. But I wanted to also get voices on the conservative side regarding like this whole like gender political gap. But how's
Got it.
everything been? I think we talked like like a couple weeks ago. How's
Yep.
everything been with you?
Good. Just I thought things would slow down after the election, but unfortunately they haven't quite. I was in Washington D.C. yesterday, um, and that was interesting. Obviously, seeing some of the senators and all of those people. So I don't know. It's just
So for those who don't know you, do you want to give like a quick intro too?
yes. So my name's Paula. I was a swimmer at the University of Pennsylvania, and so actually, how I found Jen was he made a video about the issue.
Again.
Jen, sorry.
Yes, you're good.
I'm dyslexic. I can't read, and I apologize sincerely for that. I literally will always do things like that. Anyways, I swam at the University of Pennsylvania, where there was a male athlete put on my team named Leah, formerly William Thomas. And I started speaking out about it, and it sort of opened me up into the political world. And so now I obviously see that issue a lot, but I see a lot of other political issues. I've gotten to meet a lot of representatives on the federal side, senators, you name it, politicians that have worked on this issue. So I get to kind of be exposed to all of these different things. I also was a delegate at the RNC this past summer, so I got to see that process play out as well. So yeah, I've sort of ended up, just in this political world.
So you're kind of like thrust into it. You weren't even like looking to get involved, but
Yeah, I
I
worked
guess
in
based on your
finance.
life experiences, it kind of pushed you in
Yes,
this
and I
way.
worked in finance for 11 months before I did this. And so
Really?
there was about a month where I was doing both, and it was not sustainable. And one of my friends from work pulled me aside in the office, and he was like, "You've taken such a bold step of doing what you're doing. You need to just go and pursue this. And like if you want to come back to the corporate world, it'll be waiting for you. Like you have to go and do it." And so it was really interesting. And it was like someone who was not a serious person. He was always goofing off in the office. And when he told me that, I was
Hmm.
like, okay, maybe he's onto something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious then. So, in your experience, you said you were a swimmer at UPenn. You had a trans athlete that was part of your team, and this kind of like put you in the spotlight as you spoke out against it. I'm curious, like based on these life experiences and now what you do, you weren't even looking to get into politics. Did you used to be more liberal and then became conservative? What was kind of like your life like before?
So I was always actually pretty conservative. I was in college Republicans in college. I was pretty secretive about it actually. So I didn't tell a lot of people that I was in it. Like if I was going to events for it, I would say like, "Oh, I'm just going to meet a friend," or I would keep it really, really low key. And so I was not political in high school. I became political after Trump got elected in 2016. And my backstory on it, and this is like, I'll just be really brief, is in 2016, neither of my parents voted for Trump or Hillary. So it was a very like politically neutral climate that I sort of grew up in. Same thing with my brother. He was of voting age and he didn't pick either candidate either.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, I understand people don't like him, but you don't always win, whatever. And so when I was taking AP US history, I was in high school. And in the history class, our teacher canceled class the day after the election. She was like, let's just sit here and talk in solidarity. And she's in tears, she's crying. And everyone's going around and sharing their opinions. And so I say to my AP US history class, I say, guys, I understand people don't like the president, but the whole thing we've been learning this year is checks and balances. You need to rely on the other people that you've put into power.
Mm.
I said, what I thought I had been learning the entire year. Again, like, the president isn't always going to be the person you like, but there's other people in power. He's not a dictator. I said those things. The teacher told me that my comments were highly inappropriate, insensitive, and she asked me to leave class. And I was kicked out of class. And it was at this point I was like, okay, wait a minute, why is everyone acting like this? So I started actually doing research on the different parties and just sort of things. And so I was like, okay, I think I'm a libertarian, because I wasn't really fully sold on a lot of these social issues.
Hmm.
And so I was like, I'm pretty libertarian. And then it was like one more year later when I went to college, I started to like look at it and I was like, no, I think I'm just conservative. But it wasn't until I gotten kicked out of class and I saw this again, like this breakdown of like, okay, why does she actually think he's so bad? I had to actually do research. And it was in that process I was like, okay, I'm conservative.
So by that point, have you have already spoken out against like the whole Leah Thomas thing, or did
So
that
that was
also?
when I was in high school. And so I
Got
went to college, and my first year in college there wasn't really anything happening. I had a normal swim team experience. I was in college Republicans. I wasn't that active.
it. Hmm.
Um, and I mean, immediately when our team found out it was happening, I was very vocal that I thought it was wrong from the very beginning.
Interesting. So it's interesting that you said that, right? So I guess like for you, from like a relatively like young age, you were already kind of identifying as conservative, but you said that you kind of had to be like quiet about it. So that tells me that probably a lot of your girlfriends, for example, were a lot more liberal. And I think that's even a global trend that we're seeing now. Why do you think young women are becoming more liberal?
Yes, and so it is such an interesting thing to me. I think the biggest thing is that women are more torn on emotions. And so, and again, that's not a bad thing necessarily.
Amir said the same shit, man.
It's true though, and so it's why the abortion argument has been working so well. It's what
Mm,
I saw on my team, right? So many people would say, "Oh, well, like Leah Thomas is going to kill himself if or herself, whatever, if you don't accept it." And then people are like, "Oh, I can't have that. I can't," or they call you a horrible person if you don't accept it. And so people would buy
mm,
into that. And so I noticed even on my own swim team, the contrast between the men's team and the women's team, the men would be like, "What the hell is this? This is insane." And the woman would be like, oh, but we need to be caring. Interestingly, a friend from high school who was very conservative, that was also in that AP US history class I mentioned that I got kicked out of,
mhm.
he actually went to college and went on and managed the Harvard men's swim team just coincidentally. It was super random. So during the season, I message him and I say, hey, what's going on at Harvard? Like, what's the color at Harvard? And he was the one who pointed out to me the sharp contrast between the men's team and the women's team at Harvard. He said the women at Harvard are just like, we want Leah to be happy. If he's happy competing, whatever, let them. And the men were like, this is ridiculous and this is insane. So again, it's a lot of this women are just, they want to appease people. They want people to be happy. They don't want to feel like they're stepping on anyone's toes. And the men are like, no, this is ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? And so when I had a conversation with him about it, yeah, that to me really like showed again the difference, like even more clearly than it even was on my team.
Interesting. So I think, a lot along with it is like a lot of like social issues. You also mentioned like abortion. Do you feel like, based on what you said, a lot more women are a lot more emotional? So are they just like a lot more sympathetic to social issues in general?
Yeah, I think so. But the other shift that people have noticed is I think for the first time ever, so previously in like all other generations, women are traditionally more religious than men are. Starting in Gen Z, I don't know what the exact breakdown is, and again, I don't know how reliable the polls that I've sort of read are, but our generation is really breaking away from that a little bit more. I don't know if women are still a little more religious than the men, but the gap between it is smaller. And so I think that, I mean, generally speaking, people that are more religious are more conservative, and so
Mhm.
we sort of end up in that situation. And I think that that might be also a contributing factor a little bit. And then also, again, obviously, this is the emotional and social issues and all of those things. Of course, the women are going to be more drawn to that. And I think again that the Democrats have done a really good job of highlighting these stories and making it really emotional. And so I think they really are trying to appeal to women. And then one more thing I will bring up, and we can keep talking about this, is also women are now more educated than the men are. Right. So if you're
Mhm.
looking at people like at higher level degrees, women are going to grad school more often, women are getting undergraduate degrees more often. And and we've seen this election, there is a correlation between people who vote Democrat and people who are college educated and
There's a huge
above
divide
that.
in education. Yeah.
Yeah, and women are the ones who are getting degrees now.
Interesting. And I
So
think
I
we
think
what we
that's something to think about.
Yeah, and that's also like what you see in like policy too, right? If you're a guy, right, which is only like now 40% of like college graduates, if you didn't go to college and they're talking about student debt relief, you're not going to give a shit, right? But like you just said, if more women are becoming more educated, they're going to have more of like a slice in the pie and would want more policies like that. Why would you not, right? And I think obviously like a lot of the institutions, like you went to Penn, right? Especially like the Ivy Leagues, they also tend to lean a lot more left, at least when it comes to like curriculum and education. Is that fair to say?
Yes, and I know it, so much so it's not even I don't even think people really fully understand how far left a lot of these institutions are. And this is not just the Ivy League. I think this is almost every college. I compare my experiences with friends that have gone to random schools, especially in the Northeast. If you stay within like sort of where I grew up and where I live now, it's insane some of the things that they're teaching. And again, I mean, I can literally list off example after example. I was in the engineering school and we had this mandatory ethics class, and they taught us that every single algorithm that was not reviewed by a person of color is inherently racist. And I was like, I
What
don't
the
know how
fuck?
my
What
code
does that
that
even
says
mean?
count the I don't know. It was like my code that says count, count the number of digits in this long number. I don't know how that could possibly be racist, but apparently it is.
Interesting. So what you brought up education divide, but one thing that's also been a divide has been political divide in relationships, where since we are becoming so polarized, a lot of people refuse to date someone from the opposite spectrum. So like I think a lot of young women that are liberal have refused to date conservative men. I know you're like a conservative girl, but do you feel like the same way but for the opposite side? Like you won't date a liberal guy.
Yeah, I feel like it's becoming more and more of an issue. And not just because of having different beliefs, but I think that what we're starting to see is there's such a sharp divide in like it's not even just like, oh, what I believe about political policy, but in values, right?
Mm,
Like there's things like you inherently like don't agree on, especially some. So obviously I work a lot on the trans issue. We've seen a lot of situations where the kids who they have divorced parents, and one parent wants to transition the kid and one doesn't, and then the government or the medical provider or whatever will just listen to the parent that wants to. But
mm,
what's interesting to me is that there's even a situation where both parents are disagreeing, right? And that's a story that's come up over and over again where it's like one parent agrees, one doesn't. And so it's just showing that there's a lot of just there's no things that they don't agree on both sides. Like they're very separated. And that again, when I keep hearing stories like that, I'm like, oh, that's so interesting to me that it's one parent thinks this wildly different thing about how to raise their kid than the other.
mm. So
And so I
you're
think
saying
we're
that it wouldn't even work. Like let's say,
well, I think that no, I think that it would. I think there are ways that it would, but I'm just saying if we keep trending this way, it seems like we're getting further and further apart because of the values part, right? We're seeing it's not like we're looking at economic policy or how much you want to pay in taxes or things like that. We're looking at like raising your kids, right? Like do you
mm,
think kids should be able to pick their gender? That's been a conversation that's coming up like because we're creeping into these crazy social issues, it's like getting more and more divided that way. And so that's why I think it's getting harder. I don't think it's
interesting.
impossible, but I think it's getting harder.
So then would you date a liberal guy then?
No. But to be fair, I just talked about this briefly at the other live stream we did.
Yeah.
To be fair, the reasoning for that is it's like I'm not Paula who works in a corporate office that happens to vote for Trump on the weekend. You know what I mean? Like whatever, right? Or like on a Tuesday. Um, this is my job. This is like the line of work I'm
Mm.
in. I'm a very public, like I'm very public at doing this. Like I don't think a liberal man would want to date me.
Yeah, you go
I
hard
mean,
as fuck
I
on
think it
your
goes both
tweets.
ways.
Your tweets go. You don't play when it comes to your tweets.
So many people have been saying that. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. It's fun, but that's what I'm saying is like I think like maybe if you're like I have okay, for example, I have friends who went and voted for Trump, right?
Mhm.
But they're not reading the news all the time. They're like, "Oh, yeah, I like don't really believe in some of this weird transing the kids and I don't really like taxes." And
Mhm.
they vote for Trump. Like I have so many friends that fall into that category. I think many of them could date a liberal.
I see. But you're like very ingratiated in it, so it's
Yeah,
very
like,
that
and
makes sense.
it goes both ways. Like, I'm sure if you ask any liberal man in America, they would definitely not want to date me. And like, I'm not offended by that. It's just like, why would they want somebody who's like, you know, going on Fox News or tweeting when I tweet? Like, they probably wouldn't. I don't know. Like, they probably wouldn't want to talk to me either.
Fair point. Fair point. So one thing that's interesting is that you're quite big on X and you're very active on there. And I think you can agree with me that X is definitely a lot more kind of male dominant now. And I think now it definitely leans a lot more right than previous years, let's say. But what I found interesting is that apparently TikTok and Instagram is actually
Mhm.
more used by women. Do you
I
think
saw
this
the same
has
thing.
political leanings?
Yes, I think the other thing is the content that men are consuming is wildly different than the content. Like the gender gap of the content, not even just the content, but the platforms, right? So I think in general, like I actually don't think I even have any male friends that use TikTok at all.
Mm,
I'm trying to think. I don't think any of my guy friends are on TikTok at all. Which is really interesting because when you go on TikTok, it does feel like it's kind of a women's app. I don't know if you use it. I don't know what your perspective is on that. I mean, maybe you use it for your content.
like post clips and stuff. Yeah.
Do you
I don't
scroll on TikTok though?
Not really. It's mostly YouTube and X.
See, that's the thing is I think only women are on TikTok for whatever reason. And if you go on there, okay, I don't post on TikTok because I have maybe 6,000 followers on TikTok. I
Mm,
get a strike every single time that I post on
mm.
TikTok without exception. And it doesn't matter if I'm literally posting the dumbest thing for 5 seconds. It's just like whoever's found my page, they just mass report me every time I post a video. Um,
So I
and so
guess like
the
the
leaning is,
moderation and like the guidelines will also dictate who would even be welcome on the platform, essentially, right?
yeah. And I mean, obviously there are conservative creators on TikTok.
Mm,
Um, so there is conservative content on there, and I do see some of it. But again, for the most part, it's mostly women posting. It's mostly females consuming as well. Like, of course, there's some men. Like, I don't know if other people agree with that, but I do think that, and that app is definitely again they're like pushing more left leaning content. But I think the other thing is women are like men are actually reading or like to watch like podcasts. Like I feel like if you hear about like
yeah,
Rogan, like how many women do you hear or like women our age like that
that's
watch
true.
Rogan? Like
That's not,
no
yeah.
one, right? But they won't. They'll watch Alex Earl's Get Ready with Me, or they'll listen to Call Her Daddy, and we have like right. Alex Cooper is like
Talk to her.
interviewing. Yeah, I don't. Well, I don't. Does anybody watch her podcast? Not to diss her. Like, does anyone actually watch Talk to Her?
I had no idea. I had no. I mean, good for her. She's carrying the wave, and she's 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 literally turned a career from making dick sucking noises. So like, honestly, good for her. Good for her.
There's so many people that I feel bad for like being like an online person and making content and doing things and posting, but that I don't understand fully. Yeah, I think that that's creating the gap a little bit more. But what I did notice though is this, right, like all of the sort of Gen Z influencer girls have all made pro Kamala videos, but there have been like male ones, like Bryce Hall, for example, like going and speaking at a
Mm.
Trump rally. Like that was not I was not expecting that. So I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, it is interesting how even like the kind of big celebrities that Kamala used, they were like Beyonce, Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion. They're all like Taylor Swift, right? She gave an endorsement. It was like already like these big female kind of like celebrities that endorsed her. But yeah, I didn't really see like anyone that was like male that was like a big endorsement, whether that be in TikTok or like a celebrity, unless I'm like missing someone. I guess maybe Mark Cuban, but I don't know. I don't know if that
And
really
he's like
counts.
deleted all his tweets about it.
Yeah, lots weird stuff there. But I'm curious. I think like kind of on this topic of the election, what we saw is like the big topic of abortion. As a woman, why do you think abortion became such a central issue besides like the obvious reasons?
I think so. One thing is like each election, right? They're obviously going to play on something that's happened recently, right? So like in 2020, there was so much about BLM and George Floyd and all of that stuff, right? Because it had been a recent event. I think obviously Roe v. Wade overturned in 2022. It was really just the talking point that could continue to hit home. So if you look at Kamala Harris's Twitter account or X, whatever you want to call it, um, there were so many tweets saying, Trump's abortion bans or Trump's overturning of Roe v. Wade. You know, that if you I don't know what the number was, but if you look at her account, it was like all that they were saying. And so I think it's what they knew that their issue that people would vote on, because again, it was a very recent thing. It was really one of their big winning issues. And I think that they just really hanged on to that. They also found stories to feature of people, but I think that the person that they even picked about who had died from some issues, complications with trying to get an abortion across state lines, I think they also like tried to pick people to highlight with that and make more of an emotional appeal. But again, I think it's just it happening so recently, right? So this is the first election, presidential election that we've had since that happened. They needed to just hang on to that, and hasn't that been what's happened in every election, right? Like it's just whatever the most recent sort of cultural social event is, people are going to push on that.
That's fair. So I think along this lines of like the election, I talked to Destiny for this video too, and one point that he brought up is that that Trump is like a cult, and that everybody in like the right kind of like influencer space like doesn't even question Trump and kind of just like goes along with everything that he says. As like someone who is like very active on X, how would you respond to that?
I mean, I mentioned this to you the last time we talked. We all actually don't agree with each other at all. I hang out with so many people. Amir, I've met him in person. We don't agree on everything. Great friend. He was excited. Hopefully, I mean, you guys saw us. He's excited to see me. I'm excited to see him. We don't agree on everything. A lot of other influencers in the space that I'm friends with outside of this. I don't think we agree on every issue. And I don't think I think online, yes, sometimes it feels like people aren't maybe criticizing Trump as much as they should be or as much as they want to necessarily. Because that's just the nature of, if you're going to be posting, you sort of have a little bit of an expectation to say what you're supposed to say. But I don't think people hold back. Like if you should talk to, have you seen Xavier? Do you know who that is?
No.
He posts a lot on TikTok, X, all of the places. He will constantly criticize things from the right. And he's a very much a right influencer. He works for PragerU. I mean, we all push back. Like there's things we say that don't match the platform. The other day, for example, I was talking about how Trump spent a lot of money when he was in power. That's something both sides were doing. They were way overspending for the budget. We're putting the country in debt. And that's something I criticize. And I asked actually my followers to do the same. I said, like, what do you not agree with on Trump? And I have a lot of super, super, super pro-life followers that don't agree with Trump's stance on abortion. And people criticize that. That's something that's been a lot of people on the right have criticized. Especially again, like people who that's their one issue, the life issue. People are openly criticizing that as well. You can go find it pretty easily, I think, if you look. Which is interesting that Destiny would say that, because I feel like I haven't heard him criticize his own side. Maybe he has, but I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I think like you brought up a couple things. Is like once you kind of build up like an audience, you do have like an expectation of like things that you have to say. But that doesn't mean that it's like free of like criticism, right? Because I think he brought up a point. It was like, do you know any like right wing influencers that have pushed back on him? I didn't know one off the top of my head, but I don't think that makes it not true, right?
Yeah.
And I think one thing that he also brought up was that he has issue with people that describes themselves as like centrist or like independent. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think people like me are just both sizing everything? I'm curious to hear your honest thoughts as someone who is definitely like a lot more conservative.
Yeah, I mean, I know plenty of independent people, of course. I think like at the end of the day, you do have to pick a side. Right? And so I understand from our previous conversation that you did end up voting for Trump. You can still be centrist, but you ended up picking. And so I think that is the way to go about it, right? And the next election, if you end up voting for a Democrat, I won't be offended either. I think it's ultimately in this system, you do have to pick a side from the way that this election works and the way that the parties work, from all of it. But I think you can be an independent, and an independent means like you are going to look at each election and look at the big picture and say, okay, which side do I want to entrust in the next 4 years, or if you're voting down ballot, whatever the other term is. Um, and I don't think that that's not unfair. I think there's a lot of people who are independent in this, and I appreciate their stances, because also the creators that I follow on X or on other platforms that are independent, they criticize everyone. And it's actually really good to see their perspective and see their criticisms. Like, I do enjoy actually reading people who have criticisms of Trump and they feel like they are more inclined to say that because, again, their audience allows them to, because people know that they're a centrist. And so I actually appreciate it.
So it's interesting, like you said earlier, right? You do feel like you sometimes have like an expectation that you have to fulfill to your audience. Do you feel like you're probably more of an independent than you let on in your online presence?
Honestly, no. I don't think there's a lot of issues that I'm pretty independent on. I think that it'll be more like small things. Like, for example, I'm gonna out myself a little bit, but like the whole Matt Gaetz situation, right? There have been a lot of people who have had various opinions of it, and I have actually really steered clear of even saying anything about it. My personal opinion is I actually think Matt Gaetz is very smart. I met him. I testified before Congress. He actually was very quick on his feet, picked up this silly thing a Democrat said, and then lobbed me the question to be able to answer. And it was this super viral clip that blew up, and it was because of Matt that we were able to like sort of make the clip. I think he's quite smart. I think that, again, he obviously ended up, withdrawing his name from consideration for AG today, which I think was the right move. But there's a lot of people who are saying, no, he should stay and let it play out. He'll get it in, and I don't agree with that. And I think there's people who are also hyping him up, being like, he should, go get this other position. I don't think that we should be doing that. And so that's just an example of something recently, but that's not like a policy thing. That's more of like a personnel choice. So in terms of my views, like, I still think I'm very conservative. It's just like, yes, there are some things to criticize and look at, but how effective am I to actually raise those concerns? Like, I don't know, like some of it just like, there's a million things I could tweet. I could probably write one tweet a minute on everything that I think all day long. But some of it's just like, what's the point,
It's a fair point. Fair point. Okay, last question. What do you think are like the long-term effects of young women and men continuing to drift further apart politically? You think this divide is still going to grow, or do you think we're going to find more unifying like in the future?
I mean, I really hope we find ways to be unifying, but again, I think what people have looked at studies and other countries that this is happening in too, is that people aren't getting married, and then like the birth rates are really bad. And then like society is, and so that's something that's really scary. I really hope we can find a way to not make the divide as big. And again, like I said this last time, I do think we all agree more than we think we do.
Yeah.
But it's becoming more and more polarizing. So like looking at it on paper, it's become this huge divide. It's been super polarizing, all this. But I think we do agree, we just don't see that we agree. And I think that that's making it really hard. And again, if people aren't willing to date conservatives, if they're liberal and vice versa, that is problematic, especially if there is such a gender divide. And like people after the election, all these women are saying, oh, I found out my husband voted for Trump, so I divorced him. Or I found out my boyfriend voted for Trump, so I broke up. Like, I was like, that's enough for you to just say, that's it, I'm done, no matter how long it's been?
That's crazy.
Did you see those posts?
Like, we're way too lost in the sauce if like you're giving up your marriage of what, 10 plus years because you guys voted differently.
I thought it was a joke, and I like looked at the person's profile and I was like, this is serious. And I was like, yeah, well, I was shocked.
Yeah. Chat, I'm curious if there's any questions that you guys want me to ask Paula. Let's see here. Let's see.
I'll get on to YouTube and see if I can see this chat too.
Ask her whether she'll consider moving to the UK, specifically near where. Oh, I thought this was like an actual question.
No, they want
Someone
me
said,
to.
ask her whether she'll consider moving to the UK, specifically near where I'm at. I'm 6'4", deeply cares about female sports. Okay, actually, you know what? Do you get some crazy DMs? What are the craziest DMs that you've gotten?
Uh, I have like a private, like I have like close friends on Instagram, right? Like I'm sure you probably utilize this feature too.
Uh
And
huh.
I will post the most insane things that people send me. I've
Please,
gotten
please
I've
read some.
gotten
Please read some.
marriage proposals, I've
Oh
gotten
my
death
god.
threats, I've gotten all of the things in between. I'm going through Twitter. Hold on, wait. Let's see. Instagram, I got some really crazy ones too. Um,
Dude, I feel like if you're like a girl in politics, you
let
just
me
might
look.
get like the craziest range of like
Well, no,
requests.
but I received, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I want to share this because it's like so
Oh,
traumatizing.
come on, come on,
I
come on, come
received
on.
an email 2 nights ago of my face photoshopped onto someone else's body with the feet really visible. And it was like, "Hey Paula, I just wanted to send this beautiful picture of you." And I was like, literally sent it to my friends, and I was like, "What the actual is this right now?" Wait, hold on. Actually, let me just go. Honestly, if I get like a really crazy one, I usually screenshot it. So let's see.
So it's like, how frequent is it?
I think I get something every day that I think is funny.
Oh my.
Um, Hold on.
So would you say like more of your audience is men or girls?
So what's okay? This is a really interesting thing. So when I first joined, we can talk. This is more about the gender divide. So when I first joined the space,
Oh wait,
I
actually, hold on. Let me. If this is okay, sorry.
what?
Go. Yeah. Let me ask you again. What is like your audience breakdown of like men and women?
Yes. So right now on X, 75% of my followers are men. Instagram, it's like maybe 60% men. But that was not always the case. And the reason that and this is why it's really interesting because so I started off when I joined the space, I really wanted to be centrist. I wanted Democrats to appeal to this issue. I wanted Democrats to be able to vote on the women's sports issue. Again, I've voted for Trump in 2020. I'm as conservative as they come, but I wanted to appeal to the middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that this was an issue that everyone could get on board with. I thought we could work with Democrats on it. And so I tried really hard to be as centrist as possible and not be
Okay.
myself. What happened is all my followers were like middle-aged women who are Democrats that think that men shouldn't play women's sports but will always vote for the Democrat. And then I started kind of tapping into like my viewpoints on other issues. I was like, oh, like this Hamas stuff going on college campuses kind of messed up. Or, like little things like that. And I lost like 40% of my followers in like 2 or 3 weeks on Instagram, on X. Like people were mass unfollowing me, sending me horrible messages being like, I followed you because you were a centrist talking about the women's sports issue. I can't believe you're a MAGA extremist, disgusting bigot. And I had never posted anything pro Trump. I never said I voted for Trump. I never said I wanted to vote for Trump. I never said anything like that. I just started tapping into slightly more conservative issues on other topics.
Okay.
And I lost all of my like again, it was like the craziest like if you look at the Instagram graph of like the losing and gaining, it was like literally like there was one day it was just like an even bar because I started gaining followers from the other side, like men. So it was like an even day, but it was like numbers lost 2,000, number gained 2003.
I'm actually curious if you
So,
know like any other girl conservative influencers. Is this like a similar kind of breakdown in demographic?
well, yeah, most of their followers are men. Like Brett Cooper is a good friend of mine. She talks about how most of her followers are male. So she enjoys when she receives female followers. But for me, it was really interesting because, again, I had worked really hard to try to be centrist. And what I had found was I was being centrist. And yes, there were a few like housewives that are traditionally Democrats that supported me. But this was not leading to Democrats on wanting to sign up on these bills. This was not leading to Democrats wanting to support this issue publicly. And so it didn't even get us anywhere. And so that's why I started realizing that being centrist on when you're trying to push policy is just not really a functional way to go about it. And it's actually I've been more effective. I've had more people want to talk about this issue, have had more attention on this issue, tapping into like being, like full-fledged. And so, for example, the biggest thing that's interesting is the first time I ever spoke about, honestly, the first 2 months I ever spoke about this issue, I trained myself to not speak with pronouns because I didn't want to make anyone upset that thinks that Leah Thomas shouldn't compete, but they want to call him a she. So I just didn't use pronouns at all. So I wouldn't turn off the right side by calling Leah she, but I wouldn't turn off the left. But again, being centrist did not work for me. It was not helping the issue. It wasn't, no one cared about what I had to say. And I was also just like not doing well because I wasn't being myself.
Damn.
So again, that was what was interesting is, and at that point in time on Instagram and even on Twitter, Twitter was a little bit probably more even, but on Instagram, my following was 60% female. So I've completely flipped in the past, 9 months, my following is completely shifted. I've gone from, 60% female to 60% male.
Interesting. So I guess it does kind of show like that gender divide, right? Like,
yes, and it was because I was being soft, and there was people who really, we really like that you're, we're Democrats and we feel comfortable. And then again, once I started tapping into what I actually believed and saying other things, they would send me hate mail. And actually this one person literally wrote me this long essay and was like, I just want to let you know I'm unfollowing you because I can't stand by your account anymore, but I do support you on the sports issue. I wish you luck in the future. Like, wrote me an essay. I could probably find it.
Interesting. Damn, so am I cooked if I'm trying to do this, trying to build a centrist media company?
No, because if that's what you believe in, that's going to work for you, right? Like, it's about being authentic. And I think that that's what a lot of people are missing is I've always been really right wing. I grew up in a really liberal area. I went to a liberal school. And so I just assumed that the only way people were going to like me is if I was this perfect version of just appealing to everyone. And in reality, that didn't work. And I wasn't happy too. Like, I actually was not.
You felt like you were censoring yourself.
I was censoring, and I didn't I definitively was censoring myself. And it's like, again, now that I've started, and this has really been really recent in the last probably since the beginning of the year, so maybe 9 or 10 months. I've basically almost doubled my following on X. I've more than doubled on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, people appeal to you being authentic, and if you authentically talking and your content is middle ground, which I think it is because I've came across your stuff as a right-wing person, you know what I mean? Like, it's just about being that. And I think we are actually in a place where a lot of people are afraid to actually say what they believe, whether it be centrist, whether it be right-wing, whether it be left-wing.
That's true.
And I think
so maybe if I want to double my follower count, maybe I'll just start grifting either the left or the right, and maybe I'll dye my hair blue, or maybe I'll put guns in the back. I don't know. Maybe I'll pick a different every other month I'll be something different. On the left,
you'll lose all your followers.
On an even month, I'm gonna be like Destiny. On an odd month, I'm gonna be like you.
But that's the thing is, do I come off as a crazy right-wing conspiracy theorist? I think I'm just an everyday normal conservative person. I don't think I'm spouting out anything that's completely insane and ridiculous. You can correct me if I'm wrong, and I would love to hear if I'm being ridiculous. But do you know what I mean? I don't think that I'm saying anything that's just insane.
Yeah, no, that's true. But maybe your DMs don't feel that.
Oh yeah, I'm pulling up. I have this one from someone saying "dumb bitch, kill yourself." That one's really nice.
Nice.
Disgusting.
Was there any
ones.
that stung?
Honestly, not anymore. When I first started this, I remember there was just a lot of the hate. It would just be oh, they're they think I'm ugly, and it's oh my gosh, maybe I am, whatever. And now that's okay, well, whatever. If they think that, they're welcome to think that. The most recent thing that was actually disgusting was I posted this picture on X that sort of went viral, and I don't know what I'm holding my arms up like this, so it just kind of angles my body weird, and there were so many comments about my boobs on it. I actually think there was 1,000 of them. And so wait, this is the one. Wait.
Dude, I ain't gonna lie. This needs to be a series. I
would love to.
Female creators showing their crazy DMs.
Ask your chat. Would you guys be interested in me reading aloud my DMs? Because no, they're crazy. So, oh wait, it should be honestly not far from here. So this man messages me and was like, next time take your bra off, but his profile says like grandfather, like father, like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm literally trying to find it. It was
Oh
it was
my god.
it was actually so disheartening. I was like, this is actually like not acceptable that there was a man who is
Okay, wait. Come on. Pick
I'm
some
really
like
trying to find
pick
it.
like a recent DM and like read it.
Okay, I'll just actually go through my active D. Okay, we'll go through the DMs.
Chat
Well,
WRL. You guys want her to read her DMs?
um, these are just like okay. There's like people who are just like I think you're great. Like this one's like we love you. I think you're so beautiful. Like that's normal. There's this guy who will keep sending me pictures of himself. Oh, this was the worst. This was the worst. 2 weeks ago, I received a dick pic on my ex DMs. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. It fully happened. I literally I actually remember this so vividly. So I do press coverage. I used to do press coverage. I mean, it's not happening anymore. The Trump rallies, right?
Okay.
So I go, you're sitting in the media risers, okay? Like so CNN is there, MSNBC, everyone's there. You're sitting in the media risers. It's like super tight quarters. You're like hunched over. It's like all the speakers are talking, so you don't have to do anything while they're talking. I'm like, oh, I'm going through my DMs. Literally open up a dick pic and I'm like, there's probably 5 to 7 different media people behind me, like sitting directly behind me. And I'm like, I really hope none of them are looking at my screen right now. Okay, hold on.
Oh my
Right.
god.
Okay. I'm
Dude,
through.
that is insane, man. Yeah, because like sometimes I've seen like your tweets and I'll just like look at the replies under it. Like they wouldn't even just be like replying about what you're talking about. They'd be like replying to like
This
just
guy, there's
you.
this one guy, every single thing I'm like, guys, this is why policy reform is so important. You're hot. Okay.
Oh my god. What's like the common profile of like the guys that send you these
It's
things?
like
Is it
anime.
oh, anime profile pictures.
Okay, these ones look just like, okay, are you single? This is, okay, hi, nice to meet you. Wait, I think I'm gonna come find the crazy dude. No. Okay, let's see. Most of them are just like, it's not that interesting. My screenshots are better. Oh my gosh, this guy sent me his number. Hey Paula, I think you're very pretty. Here's my number. Literally DMs me his number on X.
That's not bad. Like, that's not
Um,
bad.
okay. This guy says, I have a ring ready. Messages me 2 days later. I still have your ring ready.
You just wanted to be like, oh my god, send me the picture or something like that.
So now that Trump won, are you still single?
Oh my god. Dude, political Riz is crazy.
No, these people are actually okay, no, this one's just a normal. Then people will also like trauma dump in my DMs too. Like that's been happening to me lately where like someone's like my mom just died and like
What
I'm
the
going through a
fuck?
really hard time right now and they'll send me like an essay.
Is it
And
like
I'm like,
dudes like doing that to get sympathy or like what?
I don't know, but that's something. Has it ever happened to you? Like where
I don't
people
think
would just like talk
sometimes,
themselves in your
but not
DMs?
much. Not much. Nothing like crazy. But it's just like, what the fuck do you want me to do? Like, I don't know how to solve your problems.
I know, and that's like this one guy like literally sent me this essay about his mom dying, and I didn't see it, and then he like sent another follow-up message being like, I just want to say like you give me hope, and I was like, I really don't know what to say to that. Um,
Bro, that's fucking hilarious.
so let's see.
Let's read a
I
couple
don't know. I
more.
mean, like they're not that interesting. Like, are you single? Like,
I see.
hi there. Like I will get an occasional. Like, good morning, my beautiful Paula. You have a gorgeous smile. Please let it illuminate the world around you. I hope you have a happy Friday and a wonderful weekend. This was from Friday, like last week.
Jesus Christ.
And then this one says, this one told me to kill myself. I want to marry you, Paula. Okay, this one's funny. Finest Asian woman I've ever seen. A wifey material for sure. I'm gonna marry you someday. I want to marry you, Paula. Like, okay. You are so pretty and so cute. I know you know this, but I have to tell you, you drive me crazy. This guy actually has a profile picture. That's a shock.
Oh, I see. So a lot of them are just like hiding behind
Most of
like.
them are like weird bots.
Okay,
Um,
read your last one, and then I think I gotta head out.
I mean, they're not like, they're just like what you'd expect them to be, right?
It's honestly, I thought it would be a lot worse.
No,
Like
like, I
I'm
think,
sure you have some that are
I think
insane.
I have them in my screenshots. Like, because I usually screenshot like the really, yeah, this is the one that I found. So his profile says, his description of his profile says, Dad, father, grandpa, love my country, hunting and fishing, always forever a wrestler. So he must have like wrestled in high school.
Show his profile.
Like, I mean, I only have a screenshot of the DM. Like, it's not really like that interesting, but it's literally just like it actually has a picture. He has a picture, like an old man. And
That's crazy.
the DM says, nice outfit. Lose the bra. Really give them a tease.
Cramps. No. No.
And I'm like, and I like saw, I think I posted that to my friends, and I was like, this just makes me sad. This
Yeah.
makes me sad.
It's,
But
it's probably a
I think
lot
it's
worse
just like
than
what
that.
happens. Like I think if you're left leaning, I think if you're a normal influencer, I think if you're like a person who posts on the internet, these incel men that sit in their mom's basements are always going to find you no matter who you are. And so I think that that's just kind of like the nature of just posting online.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I do get like some, I mean, like there's just, I have so many screenshots. I think
You
my
should-
funniest though is when like high profile people will try to slide into my DMs, which is like very occasionally happens. And it's always really funny because I'm like, ooh, you're conservative and you're not saying that publicly.
Oh, interesting.
And
So
that
there's a
to
lot
me
of
is like,
people
I
like
feel like
that.
I know some secrets. Not actually, it's like not a big deal. Like nobody cares. But it is funny when they're like, yeah, like I voted for Trump. And I'm like, oh, did you?
The political riz is just funny. But well, hey Paula, thank you so much for joining.
Of course. Thank you for letting
Always
me.
good
I don't
talking with
even know
you.
what we're just
Yeah, I know it's so funny how we
shooting.
just like went back to talking about the crazy DMs that you get. But I've always wondered that. I was like, dude, these
I will
political
honestly,
girls must just get
if I get
crazy
some really
DMs.
ridiculous ones, I'll send them to you because
Okay.
it does happen. Like I think maybe like once every 2 weeks, there's like that bra one. Like there's
You
one like that.
should live stream that though. Just fucking expose
But I
it.
have to
I
get on
mean, hey,
YouTube.
it's a DM,
Should
right?
should I get on YouTube and just
Do it.
tell you guys about my day and read my DMs for
There you
like
go.
2 minutes a night?
All right, well, Paula, thanks for joining, and
Yep.
we'll see you soon. Okay.
Yep. Thank you for having me today.
Yep. See you later.
See ya.
All right, chat. We did back-to-back interviews. What do you guys think? WRL, just some light. You know, I just want to talk to people to round out this video. I think we got the material that we needed. Think it was cool. Think it was fun. Thank you those who've stayed. Think like the 200 of you who have been here. Where's Amir? You missed it. I said I'm gonna start at 3 p.m. Central. Jamar's thirsty as hell. Chat, who stayed from the beginning until the end? Type of one if you've been here since like the beginning. And yeah, chat, let me know if you guys want me to go live more. I know I said that I will and I haven't. But y'all fucking with it? You guys like the lives? The thing is, I you know what? I've been kind of like monitoring the chat like this whole time. You guys do engage a lot more when there is someone that you guys as a chat disagree with. So for example, when I had Destiny on, and no, of course, like Destiny is like a bigger name. But when he was on, you guys' like chat was like going insane. So I do want to bring more people live. I don't know if you guys have saw my community post, but I talked about how I reached out to this creator named Alice Capel or I forgot, right? My producer reached out to a bunch of people whenever we do videos like this, right? And she declined, which is totally her right. I don't care. People decline all the time, like my interviews. But then she decided to post it like this kind of weird email reply that she like sent me on her like Instagram. So look, I'm always trying to talk to people that may disagree with me, that things for whatever reason. My channel is some crazy channel, but yeah, I am trying to do more of these lives and bring people on. So who are some people that you guys want me to interview? Personally, again, I think you need to interview Jordan Peterson. I mean, yeah, of course, I'm down. But I feel like I should talk to more people who you guys disagree with, to be honest. Brett Cooper, guys, we tried. Me and Brett and I, we were talking. We were looking to get her onto this video. She's way too busy. So yeah, she was supposed to be in this video, but I'm sure we'll do a collab soon. We will do a collab soon. KSI, Turkey Tom. Oh, that could be good. I think Turkey Tom and I follow each other. Interview Alex Jones. By the way, who is that girl? Her name is Paula Scanlon. She has a Twitter, so if you guys want to go follow her, go do it. You should interview the Amazing Lucas. Who's Amazing Lucas? Well, okay, this is what I'll do. Follow me on X, follow me on Instagram, whatever your platform of choice is, and send me a DM. Send me a DM of who you think I should interview. Joe Rogan, yeah, no shit, but like you know, a little bit more realistic. I need to get my numbers up more than 200 live streamers to get to that. But yeah, follow me on X, follow me on Instagram, and then send me a DM on who you guys think that I should talk to. But with that said, I'm gonna peace out. Thanks for joining. It was fun. 2 hours. It's good to do lives, man. I'm trying to do more of this. So we'll talk soon. And yeah, man. Thanks for joining. Peace. Oh, also one last thing. Check out the newest video. The newest video has been a flop. But I think you guys will like it. So watch the newest video on the channel. It's about insane asylums. Where's Paula's okay, chill out, Jamar. You gone a little too far, buddy. Put your fucking dick away. I don't want your dick. I don't want you fucking touching your dick while I'm on camera, bro. This stream is a no pants down zone. I don't want anyone fucking thinking about choking their monkey while you're watching me yap. So if 200 of you guys the craziest thing is that if 300 people have joined a stream, there's probably a good likelihood that there's at least 1 or 2 people like horny ass Jamar in the chat that have probably been fucking with their pants down. Like statistically, that's probably the case. All right. We'll just end it there. But watch the newest video. Appreciate you guys joining, and yeah, stop jerking off so much.